Blades were always said to be the iron for professional golfers just because they have a better feel to them and they have more control compared to cavity backs. In this video here, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on whether or not mid-handicappers can use blades. So what we're covering in this video are what are blade irons, what are the benefits of using them, what are the cons of using blades. So I've used a muscle back iron style for a while, which it's very similar to the classic blade. It's a bit more forgiving. I've recently switched to a forged cavity back, but I did use a muscle back for a number of years, so I'm just going to be sharing my experience with them and all that kind of stuff. Before we get started, I will just mention our gear giveaway. If you want to enter in, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment giveaway down below. Do those three things, you'll be automatically entered. So what are blades? And if you don't already know, blades are like the irons you'd see the pros use way back in the day. They're like a solid chunk of steel with no cavities or hollowness in the back. You know, they're much more, they have a much smaller sweet spot compared to the cavity backs, and they're more compact. You know, some of the newer game improvement irons, they're pretty chunky and all that kind of stuff. An example would be like the Wilson staff blade, as you can see in the picture there. It looks quite a bit different than most of the irons on the market, and it's thinner and more compact. The weight of the club is more like evenly distributed across the face, and the center of gravity is higher compared to a cavity back. Some people are going to, you know, some people like grew up with blades and that kind of stuff, and that's kind of why they're more comfortable swinging them. Some people like the feel of impact. Some people like that they have more control over them. The reason I like them is that I get a lot more feedback on mishits, and then you can use that info to improve your game. It can be a bit tough to tell on a cavity back where you went wrong just because of how forgiving they are. So sometimes it is a little bit tough to tell. But let's talk about the benefits of blades. And the first benefit to a bladed iron is that they feel awesome when they are struck purely. It is obviously harder to hit them purely, but when you do, there really is no better feeling. Game improvement irons, they feel pretty solid no matter where you hit them, so that can be a bit tough to figure out what you're doing wrong. The next benefit is going to be their higher spinning compared to a cavity back. This is going to help better players shape the ball around, so like being able to draw or fade the ball and give them more stopping power on the green. You can still draw the ball and fade the ball with a cavity back, no problem, but I do think a blade will give you a little bit more control. And then the final benefit is that a bladed iron is lower launching, and this is going to be good if you're playing in the wind or you want to keep the ball down. It's also going to give some players a bit more distance. Not likely for higher handicaps. Generally, a higher launching club will give higher handicaps more distance. For some better players, they might want to keep the ball down low. But those are kind of the main benefits I've found in using a blade or muscle back. So let's jump over to the cons. The first and the biggest to using a blade is that there's almost no forgiveness. You need to strike the club face pure and in the exact right spot every time. Most average players, they're rarely going to hit the center of the club face, and if they do use a blade, then they're going to get all sorts of trouble. You're going to get slices, hooks, and a lot of low like slap shot sort of things. The second con is going to be the lower distance, especially for like mid to high handicaps. You know, this might not be a problem for like the scratch golfer, but for the average player, they're going to need all the height and distance they can get, and blades, they're going to be lower launching, and that's going to hurt a lot of people's distance. If you don't strike the club pure, then your distance is going to suffer big time. But the final con is going to be that they're usually more expensive than a cavity back. A lot of blade or muscle backs, they're well over $1,000. You can find some that are cheaper, but most like newer ones, they are going to be quite pricey. Most people, they're not going to spend that on a set of irons. I don't know the reason for this, but it's probably not worth it if you are only going to get out a few times per year, or if you're just like an average weekend golfer. But I guess the main question is, should you use blades? And I would say if you've read this far and are still asking if you should be using blades, I do think it all comes down to your preferences. The only reason I'd recommend going with a blade is if you're a scratch golfer or you like the way they feel at impact. If you like the way they feel and you're not really worried about playing your best golf, then go for it. I don't think there's any reason why you shouldn't go for it. If you do like it, you're not worried about scores, then why not go for it? But I think the majority of golfers would benefit from using a cavity back, but it's really going to depend on you and what you like personally. But cavity backs, they're normally a bit cheaper, they're easier to hit, and they're probably going to give you the most distance. They just don't feel as good as muscle back iron in my opinion, but I do think they will give you the lowest scores possible. But if you want to see my current favorite irons, Click on the video card to the left and see which one you should probably be getting. And if you have any questions about this video, just simply leave a comment down below. I will get back to you as soon as I can, and we will see you in the next video.